The floor is given to the Vice President for Business Development in the area of Geospatial Solution, Hexagon company, Simon Musäus, who is going to talk about the access to geospatial data as the foundation for the development of the society.
Can you hear me? Hello? Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, thank you very much. Then I will share my screen. 1 second. Okay, good morning, everybody in Ukraine, and everybody to make it happen that I can present to you, at least online. My name is Simon Musäus. I'm Vice President Business Development, the area Geospatial Content Solutions in Hexagon. For the ones who do not know Hexagon, which I assume are few, we are possibly the world leader in any type of measurement technologies. And Hexagon has today about 24,000 employees all over the world. And so we own brands as well known as Leica, Geosystems, Intergraph, and Novatel. We are acting in the area of survey, geospatial, and manufacturing intelligence, and anything basically which is connected to geospatial information through various different perspectives and outlets. And this is the area which we're serving. I'm part of the right-hand side, geospatial and geosystems. Now, coming back to our topic here. Today, we believe very much in digital twins. We also believe in a feedback loop between digital twins and the real world, because only then it will actually work. My understanding of the world and our total understanding of the world is that we feed into the real world, we read it, we measure it through reality capture positioning. We do our work then in the digital world, design, simulation, location intelligence, and we bring everything together into autonomy and in order to generate something which we will call the smart digital reality, which is a single environment. I would not call it a metaverse, but I would call it something which is generating a unique combination of both digital and real environment, so that we have a constant feedback loop between these two worlds. The understanding of a digital twin is that we are working here on one hand with collecting the geodata, and digital societies are constantly collecting geodata. This may be in a lower frequency, as we do with surveying or photogrammetry or even satellites, but it might also be in a very high frequency with wearables, with watches, with cars, and so on. Anything that is measuring anything in connection with a spatial position. This goes then through transfer technology into our digital world. We take decisions for action. The action affects our world. We measure it and take new actions. So this is a feedback loop. And the good thing about this type of feedback loop is we do not only see the today and the future, we also see the past. Which means we are here in a four-dimensional environment. So digital societies are constantly riding on this feedback loop. Now, when we go back to what we talk here about in the environment of the Ukraine and in a future very digitalized society, we know that we need to be able to measure the base data. Now, the Ukraine is like every country, but especially Ukraine, is changing a lot. The physical environment is changing a lot. Now we have to see how to first build on what we have and then build a fast and zero measurement in order to build up the digital society on top of this. Which type of data do we have? I don't want to get too university-like, too academic here, but just to remind us that 80% today of all high-resolution data for planning comes from aerial survey. It doesn't come from cars, it doesn't come from satellites, and it definitely does not come from drones. So, and today only the aerial survey is able, in combination with others, of course, but is able to generate all the data types and the content types which we need to create a basic geometrical digital twin. That means that we are today using all this data in different levels of resolution. So we start with the simple imagery, we go into 3D models and so on. I will not go further into this. Now, how do we get there? When we see the industry today, and this includes very much Ukraine, well, every piece of Europe, we can see that in any digital society, we are suffering from suffering. We are subject to the demand for higher refresh rates. While in the past, we worked maybe once in a year, or we flew every 2 years or 3 years in an entire country, we can see today tendencies in which whole countries are flown 2 to 3 times per year. And this is not only leave on or leave off, it refers also to very specific tasks like flying power lines or finding utilities. We can see that the project areas are increasing. We can see that there's a growing number of stakeholders because digital data is today more and more part of the standard processes of any type of public or private entity. We can see a higher measurement density, while 50 centimeter or 25 centimeter, even for an aerial photography, was enough 10 years ago. Today, we see whole countries covered in 5 centimeter or better in a combination with a LiDAR flight. So to create a very high resolved digital representation in 3D, this is already here. This is not the future. At the other hand, we can see reduced budgets. The public hand is not financing as much as we would like to have it as a private industry, and also the public hand does not have the same budgets as they had in the past. Now you can see with all these requirements, which I talked before, there might be a crunch in finance. We see open data policies, at least in Western Europe, it is coming very fast today, that data acquisition and resales by public entities is becoming less and less because there's an understanding in many countries that open data drives economic development. And we, last but not least, we want to have a lower environmental impact. Survey airplanes are airplanes burning fuel, and we're still far away from electric or hybrid airplanes for this purpose. Now, what do we see at Hexagon here as a solution? Our solution is the increase in productivity, and this is very much in the focus of all our technological development, but we also see the need for creative new business models. And business model, I do not only mean the revenue model, I mean also operational models. How do we interact with our customers? Now, the first part, what we do in Europe and in the United States, are content programs. We are flying without a specific customer, first countrywide programs between 15 and 30 centimeter. So we fly the entire country or even an entire continent. That's a very high resolution with very high refresh rates. The data is then available immediately for sale. And you might remember, if you are in photogrammetry, that the delivery time for data after an data acquisition was in the past about 6 months or so. We have 60 to 90 days. And this goes over the entire continent. Then we have the city program. I will come back to this because it's interesting. Here we are generating basically in, I wouldn't say real time, but close to, we are creating a big portfolio of high resolution 3D data for entire cities or even countries. The Netherlands, for instance, we have created a 3D model of a resolution of 3 to 5 centimeters from the air and from the ground, which is renewed every single year, 40,000 square kilometers at 3 to 5 centimeters. Now, how do we do this technologically wise? We are the front runners and possibly still the only ones with very high resolution hybrid systems. We have the Leica City Mapper, which is an oblique system combination with a high-powered LiDAR, the terrain mapper system. And we have just launched at the Intergeo in Berlin last week the Country Mapper, a system which has the power of a large frame camera combined with a high-powered LiDAR. That means that for cities and countries, we can, in a single flight over, create autophotos for the cities, oblique imagery, and with both systems, a DSM-DEM, as you know them, the height models, laser point clouds, but also in a subsequent processing through autophotos, land cover maps, and artificial intelligence classified map, a building model in 3D level of detail 2, and a tree model. And mind you, this is a process which is highly automated and will give you the data after a flyover in times in which in the past you wouldn't even have got the imagery. So this is one solution, technological productivity. Now, I hope you can see the video, and I show you here something which we created in Munich, but we have this also for the Netherlands, for New York and Tokyo and Barcelona and various cities, where we are combining a mesh from the air with a mesh from the ground. Here we combine seamlessly the aerial survey with the city mapper with the ground survey of a mobile mapping system. What is the advantage? You have the highest possible resolution from the necessary point of view, and you get almost immediately a 3D view of your environment classified in 25 or more classes and 3D computer readable or for visualization. This is a complete internal Hexagon workflow. Now we are happy to work with this with any state. Now here you see a little bit where we are. Since 2014, we have covered the United States 4 times already. We are, as we speak, flying Texas, a country of 700,000 square kilometers with 15 centimeter resolution and 8 points LiDAR at the same time. And we do this every year. And this is just one of the states we are flying. Europe, we have been flying since 2016 too. Now, this is our environment. We have a fleet between 20 and 30 airplanes. We have very powerful data centers, worldwide operating processing centers. And don't mind you, this is something very unique when you see it in the aerial survey perspective, because we need to have this powerful environment to generate very high resolution data. Mind you, also here, we are not working alone. We are not just coming into a country and taking over the industry. All the contrary, 60% of our program is flown by partners. That means the local companies do exactly their work as good as they have always done it, even better, because they use our technology and earn their money. Also, the processing is partially done by our local partners. So we developed the local industry. On top of this, the data is commercialized by partners. 75% go through the local companies and also public entities if they decide to do so. So this is a strongly partner-related and partner-based program. How do I see a development perspective? When we start with the technology, in order to digitalize a society, and as you see, as I see Ukraine is a very fast accelerating digital society, you will need data which is complete, current, consistent, accurate, and accessible. All of this works mostly when you have powerful technology behind you. And it's not only a single technology, the capture technology. You need to have host platforms, you need to have data access, you need to have distribution, and so on. And it better works well. Now, time to user is the most important metric here, from acquisition to having the data at the user. We need partnerships, a smart combination of technology companies such as Hexagon, local operators, finance partners, and consultants for the specific domains will bring you very far. Access to finance, very important. I'm part of the Public-Private Partnership Committee of WGIC, and we just launched a report for Africa. But we can do any type of report. Public-private partnerships work pretty similar in every place of the world. Then international donor organizations are happy to give money if they rely on the financial and operational model on site, which is usually when they have good partners and known partners with them. And last but not least, a content program, which would bring you a long way, covering, for instance, the Ukraine with a complete data set once, very fast, and use this as a springboard towards the future. Thank you very much for your attention, and I hope it has inspired you a little bit.